guys, it's Kira and welcome to another vlog. As you might be able to tell from looking at the videos that are up on my channel, I have absolutely loved over the last few months, and particularly throughout lockdown, sharing weekly vlogs. I just think they're so much fun because, especially being someone who loves to talk about books, sharing a weekly vlog rather than a daily vlog means that you are far more likely to get my thoughts on a full book rather than just a few chapters. So I really enjoy that. I also just love being able to show you everything else that I get up to, all of the food that I'm cooking and eating, and just all of that fun stuff. So I absolutely love filming and sharing weekly vlogs, and I also just love watching them. They are literally some of my favourite pieces of content just in general. And that hasn't changed whatsoever. However, what has changed is my lifestyle slightly over the last few weeks. Like I mentioned, I've been loving sharing weekly vlogs throughout lockdown because I've been at home pretty much every single day, and it's just really easy to film a lot of content. However, at the beginning of August, since lockdown measures started to be eased here in the UK, I went back to the office. Initially, it was just 3 days a week, but now that we're in September, I'm back in the office 5 days a week working full time, which means that a large portion of my week is really boring in terms of vlog content. I'm obviously really busy working like 8 hours a day, but that just doesn't make very interesting vlog content because I'm mostly just sat at a desk and obviously doing things that are not at all relevant to this YouTube channel. However, I still really want to continue sharing that cozy, chilled out vlog content where I basically just share everything that I'm getting up to. So rather than continuing on with weekly vlogs, I've decided that going forward, now that I'm back at work full time, I'm going to be sharing weekend vlogs. So I'll be starting these vlogs on Friday evenings when I get home from work, and then filming all the way through until Sunday evening when the weekend ends. And then you should see each weekend vlog the following Friday after I film it. So I'm currently sat at the sofa, just got home from work. It's Friday evening on the 4th of September. It's about 5 p.m. and you should see this weekly vlog next Friday, which will be the 11th of September, and I should hopefully be able to continue on with that schedule. And it will just be a great chance to continue sharing that vlog content that I absolutely love, and every weekend I'll just be talking you through all of the books that I'm reading, of course, all of the food that I'm making, and just everything else that I'm getting up to. And I feel like I'm starting this on a great weekend because, like I said, it's currently Friday the 4th of September, so it's officially the first September weekend because it turned the 1st of September on Tuesday. So I'm taking this as like the first autumn weekend, and I'm planning to make the most of it. Jay and I have a day out planned tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, and I'm also currently reading the most spooky autumnal book possible. So it's going to be a great weekend, and I think this is a perfect one to kickstart my new weekend vlog schedule. So without further ado, the book that I'm reading currently, I'm over halfway into it now actually, is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I'm closer to the end than I thought. I'm on page 230 and this book has like 300 pages, so I'm probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be able to finish this one today or tomorrow, and I'm absolutely loving it. This is a book which everyone is talking about at the moment, so I was really hoping to enjoy it, but it's also one that I've heard mixed things about, so I'm really glad to report that I am loving this book, and it's giving me all of the spooky autumn vibes, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm also reading this one for the Dark Academics Book Club because this is our September pick, and we'll be discussing this one in a live show on Lucy's channel at the end of the month. Just to give a little bit of a summary if you're not familiar with this book, because it is still a relatively new release despite being one that literally everyone is talking about. It's a book which is set in Mexico, and we follow our main character Noemi. She is from Mexico City and she's sort of like a socialite. It's set in the 1950s and she is just quite a very privileged girl who's just kind of like going about her life trying to sort of date all these men and decide who she wants to marry essentially, as well as figuring out what she wants to do with her life. And that is kind of where we're at the beginning of the book, but very close to the beginning of the book, Noemi and her father receive a letter from Noemi's cousin Catalina. Catalina recently got married and moved away to a small town to live with her husband and his family, and this letter essentially expresses Catalina's fear that her husband's family is trying to poison her. So Noemi goes to this family and their mansion called High Place in an effort to see what's going on and hopefully to try and save and protect Catalina. But when she's there, this house house turns out to be a very, very weird and dark place. And so there are lots of spooky and potentially paranormal goings on happening in this house, and it's all very creepy, very interesting. There are some really graphic and gory depictions, so it's definitely a horror book rather than a thriller, and I'm really enjoying it. So like I said, I'm hoping to finish this one later on today, if not tomorrow, and I'm really, really hoping to give this one 5 stars because so far it's definitely looking that way. The other plan I have this afternoon, or should I say this evening, which I'm very excited about, is I'm about to try a new vegan pizza. My first job when I was 17, like years ago now, was at Domino's Pizza, and Domino's pizzas in the UK are not vegan. However, they have just released vegan pizzas, which are being rolled out across all of the stores next week, I think. But one of my colleagues who still works at Domino's, obviously I don't work there anymore, but one of the people that I used to work with reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try their new vegan pizzas and give them some feedback, and of course I said yes. So I'm just about to go and collect myself a Domino's pizza, and I'll keep you updated because I'm so excited about that. I used to love Domino's before I went vegan and I've missed them a lot, so I'm hoping that will be a really, really delicious addition to my Friday. Okay, I have myself a vegan Domino's. I'm just going to do a little taste test because it smells amazing and I thought you might be interested in what it's like. I'm so excited for this, literally cannot express how excited I am. Love Domino's so much, or at least I did, and I'm hoping I now can again. So this is the vegan veggie supreme, which is basically just cheese, tomato with extra tomatoes, mushrooms, sweet corn, peppers and onion on top. And I think they're doing this one as well as just the vegan cheese and tomato. So let's give it a try. Here's the slice. It looks like a proper Domino's base, which is what I'm looking for. Stop it. Oh my god. That cheese is so good. Like it actually like strings like proper cheese. Oh my god, this is game changer. Would highly recommend trying this if you are in the UK with access to a Domino's as of next week when I think they're being released properly. But oh my god, big thank you to Nas, who is my colleague from when I worked at Domino's, who got in touch with me and asked if I wanted to try this. Nas, you're a legend because that is incredible. I'm gonna go and watch some TV and enjoy this, and I'll probably catch up with you later when I start reading Mexican Gothic again. Good morning guys, it's now Saturday morning. Yesterday evening whilst eating my pizza, Jay and I finally decided to start watching The Haunting of Hill House. So we ended up watching quite a few episodes and that took up the majority of my evening. I know The Haunting of Hill House is really popular, especially it was when it first came out, but we just never got around to watching it. But they recently announced that the creators of the show are coming out with a new one called The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is I think based on The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, which is a book that I personally really like, so I really wanted to watch that one. But I figured if I'm going to watch the second thing that they come out with, I really want to make sure that I've already watched the original, which is The Haunting of Hill House. And I also really like The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, although I have to say, watching the series, the book and the series are not very connected at all, but I am enjoying the series. But that did mean I didn't get a huge amount of reading done. I did a little bit of reading before bed last night of Mexican Gothic. I'm now on page 250. 4, which means that I've got about 50 pages left to go, and I'm hoping to finish that this morning. It's about 8 AM and Jay and I are up and ready bright and early because we're going out for the day today. We're heading to a place called Alnwick, which is about 2 hours away from us, up in Northumbria, I think. And essentially the main reason for this journey is that there is a cute vintagey old bookshop called Barter Books, and I've seen this on Instagram loads of times. I've been following them for ages, and then last week I saw Lucy from the channel The Book Bell post that she'd visited it, and it just reminded me that this place actually existed, and just something about the aesthetic of this place seems so autumnal, so I thought it was perfect for this first autumn weekend that we've got going on here. So without further ado, we've got a bit of a drive ahead of us, so I'm going to carry on reading in the car and I will catch up with you when we get there.
Are turning brown, red and yellow, soon they'll be falling down. Now, I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow away the sun. Just yet, I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. Comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. I know we're going somewhere, into the danger zone. It all points right to that. I set myself aside, lead the way on this trial. If you don't know the way, we can stop and make a change. I know we walk for days, losing hope, fading love. This night will be okay, waking up to another day.
Okay, so we're back from Alnwick, and that was such a fun day out. It's been ages since we've done like a proper day out and just gone to a random place and explored, mostly because it's been lockdown and so we haven't really been able to go to that many places, but it was such a nice place to visit. The primary reason, like I said, was to visit Barter Books. and that was such a cute bookshop. The only place that I can really think of that's similar to that I've personally visited is the Shakespeare and Company bookshop in Paris, and it just has that same sort of eclectic, quite jumbled vibe where there's just such a range of books. It's kind of overwhelming when you go in, because obviously if you're used to going to places like Waterstones, or I guess in America like Barnes and Noble, you'd be just like going into a bookshop that's perfectly organized and you know exactly where to find everything, whereas in these bookshops everything is just completely random. I'm sure there's some order to it, but I don't personally understand. And so it's just fun to kind of go in and just see what you find. I didn't really go with the intention of buying a huge amount of books. It's a second-hand bookshop, so you never know what you're going to be able to find, so there's not really much point in going with any particular books in mind. But I did come away with one book, and that was Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This is, from what I understand, kind of like a Jane Eyre retelling, which focuses on Mr. Rochester's first wife and her story. And that sounds very, very interesting. I've heard mixed things about this one, but I think it's going to be an interesting read. Oh, there's actually a bookmark in it. Oh, that's so cute! Applebee's since bookshops Morpeth. Oh, got that completely wrong. Applebee's bookshops Morpeth since 1886. Ask us first, we can get any book not in stock. That was obviously not the book that I went to, but what does it say? Success in life will not elude the well-read person. Let children grow up in a house with plenty of books. A. Appleby, bookseller, Morpeth. That is so cute. This must have just been where the person bought this book from, or maybe they had this book like bookmark from somewhere else, but that's really cute, a little extra edition. But yeah, so I picked up this book. Don't know exactly when I'm going to be reading it, but I thought if I was ever going to get around to it, it would be cute to have this like vintagey edition. The book is obviously a Penguin version, and this one was published in 1968, so quite old and really, really cute. So I'm really glad to have picked this one up. And then on the way home from Alnwick, I also managed to finish off with Mexican Gothic. I loved this book so much. It was a 5-star read for me because it was exactly what I wanted from a book like this. It was a horror that kept me on my toes. It was creepy, spooky, the haunted house elements were really intriguing. There was a lot of gore and it was just incredible, but there were also some unexpected things in terms of romance and characters that I think were just really nice little gems in the story. So really enjoyed this one, and I can't wait to discuss it with the Dark Academics Book Club at the end of this month over on Lucy's channel. But I'm really glad to have finished that one. But like I said, honestly just had such a nice day in Alnwick. Jay and I stopped off for some lunch, as you saw. Well, I don't know if I can call it lunch, it was tea and cake. We stopped off for tea and cake, and we were looking for ages to find somewhere that had vegan cake, and there was absolutely nothing. And then just as we were about to give up and just go back to the car, we came across this little cafe called the Olive Branch Cafe, and they had vegan cake and it was so good. So just wanted to shout them out because obviously it was really hard to find a vegan place in this town. It wasn't a vegan cafe, but they had vegan options. So if there's anyone else who fancies going to a town with a cute vintage bookshop, but you want vegan food, the Olive Branch Cafe is a great shout. Alnwick also has like a castle and some fancy gardens, and they're really expensive to get into, so we didn't actually go into the gardens, but we had a little explore around the area, played some mini golf, and while we were playing mini golf, this busker turned up who was a saxophone player, and he was incredible. I put some money in his little like saxophone case, and I saw that he had his Instagram and social media like thing down there. So his name was Johnny Diggins, and he was incredible. Whilst we were playing mini golf, he played Billie Eilish, Coldplay, Adele, and quite a few other things, but like there was such a range and he was incredible. I just think saxophone is such a cool instrument, but he made it even cooler, so absolutely loved him, and I'll link to his social media down below as well in case you want to check him out, because I think he was a very talented musician. And I think that is just about everything that happened in Alnwick, but we had a really nice time, and I think we will probably go back again another time to revisit Barter Books and also maybe go in the castle and the gardens. Now that I'm home, I am about to probably do a little bit more reading. I just quickly ran to Tesco's to do the food shop whilst I was there, fair, I was listening to a podcast which was actually recommended to me by one of you. Someone called Courtney recommended the Gilmore Guys podcast, which is so incredible. So thanks, Courtney, for recommending that because I'm loving it. I'm on the 4th episode of that podcast, and essentially this is two guys watching Gilmore Girls, and one of them is a fan of Gilmore Girls and one of them is watching it for the very first time, and they're basically discussing it. There is such a chaotic energy to this podcast, but one that feels very akin to the chaotic energy of Gilmore Girls, and because I only just started rewatching the series last week, I'm really enjoying listening to this because I feel like I'm listening along with my watching. So I might watch some more Gilmore Girls later this afternoon, but the book that I'm planning to pick up next is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I had intended to read this one before the end of summer, but I think I'm going to enjoy it just as much during autumn because I think this is going to be a really cozy read and probably a little bit of a change of pace from Mexican Gothic, which is obviously quite intense and spooky. I feel like this one is going to be autumnal, but in more of the cozy and calming sense. This one is about a girl and her grandmother, I think, switching places. So like the grandmother moves down to London and starts to live the lifestyle of her granddaughter, and the granddaughter moves up north and lives a bit more of a chilled out lifestyle that her grandma's been living, and I think it's going to be a really fun one. So I'm going to probably get started on this one soon and I'll let you know what I think. Apologies for the horrific lighting, but there's very little I can do about that because for the first time in literally as long as I can remember, we've just had a power cut. Like, everything has gone off and it seems like, looking outside, it's out everywhere at the moment. So we've just lit all of our candles and I just thought this was so weird that this has happened on that weekend where I'm having my first autumn weekend, because this just feels very spooky and autumnal, and I'm kind of glad that I'm finished reading Mexican Gothic and I've moved on to reading a more light-hearted book, because quite frankly, if I was still reading a horror, this might just feel a little bit too spooky, especially because just before this went out, we'd actually just finished up watching another episode of The Haunting of Hill House. So we're currently sat with the candles all over the room and they're all scented, so this room is going to smell incredibly autumnal because pretty much the only candles I own are autumn ones. But I just thought I'd give you a little power outage update. Whilst the power is out, I am just editing a vlog. I'm hoping my laptop doesn't die before I can charge it because it's currently not got that much charge, but fingers crossed I can manage to edit the full video, and then of course I'll upload it when the internet and the power comes back on. But for now, just enjoying the cozy vibes and feeling very autumnal. Good morning, guys. As you might be able to tell, I'm not in my usual location. I'm not at home. I'm actually at one of the yoga studios that I'm currently teaching at. It's called We Are Wellness in Leeds and I love it. It's in this cool Victorian mansion style building and it is honestly incredible. But basically I teach 2 yoga classes on Sunday morning. One is at a gym and one is at here. So I end up getting here quite early because there's not really much sense in going home before my second class, but it does mean that I get here quite early. So I thought I'd share a little bit of a morning update with you because I didn't have a chance before I left the house this morning. But last time I spoke to you, we were in the middle of a power cut that came on just before I went to bed last night. So the lights came back on, finished editing my video, which is a win. And I also did manage to do a little bit of candlelight reading of The Switch. I'm not very far into this book, granted. I'm actually only about 25 pages in, but so far I'm really liking it. I've read one chapter from each of our two protagonists. One is Lena, a 20-something, very, very driven and overworked person working for like a management consultancy firm in London, and basically she messes up on her presentation and then her work, realizes that she hasn't taken any holiday in 2 years, so they essentially force her to take a 2-month sabbatical because she's overworked and just isn't taking any time to look after herself. So that's Lena. And then we also have Eileen, who I actually thought was a widow in this book, but as it turns out she was actually just married to a guy who then leaves her for like a dance instructor, and then she's basically like trying to figure out who she wants to go out with next because she feels like she's still got life and love left in her, but there's no suitable guys in the small Yorkshire town where she lives. So at the point that I'm just at, Lena has agreed to come up and see her grandma, so she's travelling up from London to Yorkshire to basically just chat with her about everything that's going on. And then, as I understand from the synopsis of the book, they're basically going to decide to switch places. So I'm absolutely loving it. It's everything I've wanted so far, super cozy and really cute, and I can't wait to read more later on today. But for now, I'm obviously teaching a yoga class, and I just brought this along for the purposes of sharing some thoughts on this book. But I'm just going to get prepped and wait for some yoga students to turn up for a class. But whilst I'm doing that, I thought I might show you around the place a little bit because, like I said, it is so cool. So this incredible space is where I get to teach on Sunday mornings. Now I know that the majority of you are probably not based anywhere near where the studio is, but if by any chance any of you are based in Leeds or the surrounding area, I teach at this studio called We Are Wellness on Sunday mornings, and honestly I think it is one of the most incredible places to practice because it's just such a beautiful location. So if by any chance any of you are based in my local area, it would be amazing if you wanted to join me. I'll put some details in the description box down below just on that chance, but it is a 10:30 till 11:30 class on Sunday morning in this incredible space. I'm going to go teach now, but I'll catch up with you later on. I've actually got quite a busy Sunday ahead of me, but we'll get to that after teaching. Oh my god!
Are you vlogging?
Yeah. We went into Tesco's to get Attain some stationery because she's starting college tomorrow, and it was sunny. We had the window down on the car ride here. We came out and it is like torrential downpour.
God.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Today feels like the least Sunday that I've had in a long time. I've been so busy, like literally non-stop all day. The day, like I already mentioned, obviously started out with a couple of yoga classes, which were both really great, so that was fun. But then as soon as I got home from teaching, I ended up going straight out to meet my stepdad and my sister For coffee at Cafe Nero, I had the best oat milk chai latte ever. It was incredible. And then me and Atane went to do some stationery shopping for her, like I mentioned, in the torrential downpour in the car. Atane is starting sixth form tomorrow, so we needed to pick up some stationery bits for her, and I love stationery shopping. I feel like if one thing was to entice me to do a master's degree, it would be the promise of being able to buy stationery again, because I'm obviously no longer a student, which means I don't really have that much need to buy stationery, at least not in the same quantities as you do when you're at school. So I was kind of living vicariously through her whilst doing some stationery shopping, but that was fun. Picked up a few bits, and then me and Atane met up with my mum and went for a cup of tea with her, and now I'm home, but not for long because I just need to do a few things and then I'm heading straight back out again. It's currently about 4:30 in the afternoon and I'm just about to do some baking, which is definitely a cozy autumn activity. Earlier this week it was my dad's birthday, so we're doing a meal for him this evening, and I thought that I would make some brownies. Now, I'm doing kind of like a cheap baking, but essentially I'm using this Betty Crocker chocolate fudge brownie mix, which is accidentally vegan. And actually a few vlogs back with Atane, we did some baking where we used like a Betty Crocker cake mix and mixed it with some Coke, and that made a cake. So I'm going to be trying that again, but with brownies this time, or rather than with a cake. So I'm going to make that, and then pretty much straight away I'll be heading out to go and meet my dad and my brother and a few other people for his birthday meal. So that's my Sunday. Haven't done any more reading since last time I updated you because I've been so busy, but I'm hoping that when I get back from my dad's later I'll have time to settle down with a cup of tea and get cozy and do some reading.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through.
I don't know what went wrong, but the brownies just will not cook. They've obviously solidified on top, and then they've kind of gone like brownie texture over here, and they taste great. However, they just will not cook, and they're still so squidgy. The only thing I can think of is that maybe the brownie mix doesn't work with the Coke like cake mix does, because it worked so well when me and Atane did it with the cake, but it is clearly a baking flop for today's attempt, and I guess my dad will just have to go without birthday brownies.
No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
So it's now Monday morning, which of course means that my lovely cozy autumn weekend is now over and it's back into the start of a new week. I am working from home today, which means I'm in slightly comfier clothes than I would normally wear to work, and it's about 8:30 in the morning currently, which is the time that I would normally be on my drive into the office, but instead, because I'm working from home today, that meant that I got to sit in bed with a cup of tea and a good book and do a little bit more reading and just kind of ease myself into the day before the working week properly starts, which was so nice. Last night when I got in from my dad's birthday meal, it was too dark and too late to do any more reading and to film an outro, so I thought I would leave that until this morning, and that's also great because, like I said, I did manage to do a little bit more reading as well. So I am of course still reading The Switch by Beth O'Leary, and I'm now on, as of this morning, page 106. This book has a little over 300 pages, so I'm still only about a third of the way in, but I am loving it. It is so cozy and wholesome and lovely, but there is also some sort of grit and slightly darker undertones as well. Like I've already mentioned, this is a book which is dual perspective, and it is from the perspective of a granddaughter and her grandmother who decide to switch places, which I just think is such a fun idea. It's kind of like Freaky Friday, only without the actual like banging heads and physically swapping bodies, but just kind of like swapping lives and getting a taste of what the other one's life is like. And so far I'm really liking it. We have Lena, who is the granddaughter, and also Eileen, the grandmother, and I didn't realise this at the beginning. I did not put two and two together, but they actually are both called Eileen, and Lena is just like the shorter, slightly cooler version that the granddaughter has gone for. But these are two women who are very close, but they've kind of drifted apart because Lena's sister Carla recently passed away after sort of dealing with cancer for quite a while, and that has kind of caused a shift in the relationship between not only Lena and her grandma, but also very specifically Lena and her mum, and that's definitely a sort of darker undertone because they're both dealing with grief in very different ways, and that has caused a big shift in their relationship, which is I think something that is really interesting to read about because grief is such a complicated issue. And in this book we have three women who have both been, well, all been affected by grief. We've got the perspective of two, and they're all dealing with it so differently, and it's really interesting to sort of see that woven into what is otherwise quite a light-hearted book. As this is Beth O'Leary, there's definitely romance within this novel, and I've got a pretty strong suspicion where I think Lena's romance storyline is going to go, and I'm quite happy about it because that seems pretty cute. But with Eileen, I have no idea what's going to happen. She is like a dark horse, and I don't know where her storyline is going to go. But as I'm sure you can tell, I'm really enjoying this book, and I'm so glad to finally be reading another Beth O'Leary because I just love her writing style. I think her next book has recently been announced. It's called The Road Trip, and I pre-ordered that one immediately because it sounds so good. That one is coming out in April of next year, I think, so I'm really excited to get to that one, but for now, this one is fab. So with that, I probably should get ready and get into my work day because it's just after 8:30 and I've got like about half an hour to finish my cup of tea and then get ready to log onto the laptop and get into my work day. But I really hope you've enjoyed my first weekend vlog and this cozy autumn weekend that we've just had. I cannot wait to share more of these weekend vlogs going forward because this one has been really fun. If you've done any cozy autumn reading recently, I obviously have read two very distinctly different autumn style books because I've got this cozy one and then I've also got the much more spooky Mexican Gothic, but I really loved both of them. So I'd love to know if you've been reading any autumnal books, spooky, cozy or otherwise. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next weekend.